B1 family, welcome to Blacklogic. Today we'll be talking about what is a better investment. And again, this is unprofessional investment advice, just in case someone try to sue me, because he told me put all my money inside of this particular stock. It's kind of like the Wall Street Bets guy when he was telling people to invest in GameStop. Actually, a good movie if you're an investor, how they essentially manipulated the short squeezes of a particular stock that company was holding them to keep that stock down by continuing to invest inside that stock and going against Wall Street. People actually became millionaires because they took that person's advice. So when we're looking at things like that, then again, this is only for entertainment, but it could be some good information that you guys may want to know. So today we're going to compare Uber versus Lyft, those ride sharing apps that you guys use when you're out and about. Even me, even with people with cars, we use Uber and we also use Lyft. Whether your car's in the shop, you have to go pick it up. Maybe you're out of town, maybe you're on vacation, you have to use an Uber or Lyft. So it's a good investment if you're investing in something that you actually use, because you know the value more so than everyone else. So let's take into account that there are many ride-sharing apps, especially in America, but the most two popular is Uber and Lyft. Some of these other ones, like Wings, I've seen Wings. I forgot what state I saw Wings in, and Flywheel. But a lot of these other ones are very, very small, but all of them are trying to get into the market that Uber currently owns. So let's go over to see how Uber is actually performing today in the market. It says that Uber is up 110%, almost 111% when we look at the returns of today. And of course, the market hasn't been open that long. We're not even midday yet. We're 11 o'clock on the East Coast, but Uber is up 33, almost $34. And this is on the year. Okay. This is on the past year. If we go year to date, Uber is up only 7.5% roughly. If we go to 1 week out, Uber is up around 2.63%. And then today, unfortunately, pre-market, Uber is down. I don't believe that's live just yet. But the question is this: between Uber and Lyft, I know already a lot of people are looking at the amount of the stock that they're trying, that they potentially may invest in when it comes to Uber, and say, oh, well, I don't want to invest in any stock that's over $50. I don't want to invest in any stock over $25. So that's when people may come over to Lyft, because they understand the future of the rideshare industry and they may want to take a piece of it. They want to have a piece where they can invest long term, because none of these stocks, family, are going to bolster in a day or month or two. Okay. A lot of these stocks we're talking about anywhere from 2 to 5 years. Now, this is Lyft's return over the past year. They're down roughly 16.5%. Year to date, let's look at Lyft. Lyft is still down. That means essentially Lyft is operating out of debt, which is not necessarily a bad thing per se, because I'm already diving into their EPS, their earning per share, which is an indicator of the amount of revenue they have in reserves. This is their 3-month return, almost 30%. So $3 return when it comes to cash value. Then we have Lyft in the past month, not doing so well, down around 16%. In the past week, almost up 1%. And then today, it looks as though they are in the 24-hour market, they're up 2%. So a lot of you say, well, I'm not going to invest $64, $65 in Uber where I can get in on Lyft, which they're primarily the same company doing the same thing. Not primarily the same company, but they're in the same industry when it comes to rideshare, and they are both Goliaths in the industry. Well, that's absolutely false. Uber is a giant among peasants. Uber is a giant amongst midget when it comes to the amount of market share that Uber has versus other rideshare, especially Lyft. Now, Uber and Lyft are the only two rideshares that actually have stocks on the stock market. So already the other ones, you can just cancel them out. But We're trying to see the value and see where it be short-term, long-term, or you're going to dollar cost average invest, or you're going to long-term for dividends, etc. What stock is best for you? So we're going back to Uber, okay? And I know the $64, $65 price tag is very unattractive, but stay with me. Lyft may be for you as well when it comes talking about rideshare, those actual apps that you use to invest in. So we're not going to go through a lot of the analytics here. We're going to make this clean and easy. So this is coming from Yahoo Finance. It tells us over here to the left that the 52-week range was $28.51 up to $65.60. So already, if you didn't invest in the $28 or $30 range or $40 range, you missed out on some great returns, okay? And you see that the volume, they're trading over at 6 million, but the fair value market indicator here on Yahoo states that it's overvalued, okay? Overvalued. And I'll give you my assessment as well. I definitely don't think that it's overvalued, okay? I still think that it's right on target, right on its mark. Now, when we come to the chart event, it says that the pattern is detected as bullish and that the long-term, short-term, and mid-term outlook is up, that they will go up in value, that their stock price will rise, okay? And we see Lyft over here. We'll get into Lyft as well. I love to kind of read the headlines. If there's something that's striking or intriguing, I tend to read that. Could Uber stock reach $100 in 2024? Anything's possible, but I think it's more likely that the Uber stock reaches $80. So even if you invest right now, there's a propensity, there's a probability that you guys can at least make $20 on your investment, which is really, really good. Okay, let's see if anything else that strikes us. Let's move on. And last here, when it comes to analytics of Uber, okay, and again, the market is live, so we're looking at things real time. It opened up at $65.44, okay, and we're looking at the earnings per share. So they are in a plus positive. They're not operating out of debt. We have to take all these into accountability. And we're looking at the performance. In the last year, Uber has been up over 111%. And the analyst stating from here at Market Watch stating that it's a buy, that you should definitely buy Uber, meaning that Uber will rise in value. The stock price will go up, meaning that you will have a good return on investment. Let's move to Lyft. So when it comes to Lyft, we already kind of went down the trajectory of the stock up until the day that it's up roughly almost 2%. Okay. We already know what Lyft is, but it states here on 43 analysts that you should hold this stock. Now, I know a lot of you are paying attention to the current stock price. Like, man, this stock is under $15. I could potentially buy $100 worth. And don't forget, when you have stock platforms like Webull and Robinhood, when you come over here to invest, guys, you can either invest in shares, meaning that, okay, I want 100 shares of Uber. That's going to cost you roughly $13,000. But you say, you know what? I only have $150 to invest. So you change it to dollars and you hit 150, and it will let you know that you will be buying 11.6 shares of Lyft. If you're not familiar with these fractional investing platforms like Robinhood and Webull. There's some information here about market cap and how today. We won't get into the vivid details of this, but we're going to quickly look at the analyst rating. As I stated before, we're looking at 74.4% at hold, 16.3% at buy, then of sale 9.3. I don't really look at anything over the sale unless it's kind of like 10 to 15 to 20. So I still believe that the analysts are correct when it comes to Lyft current day. Let's move on. When we come over to Yahoo Finance, again, we're looking at the 52-week range. It started off at $7.85 per share. It went up to $18.36 per share, but now it's currently right under $13 per share. The fair value, they have it overvalued. I don't think that Lyft is overvalued. I think given some changes, given a couple of tweaks, that Lyft is undervalued or they're right on target, okay? And again, I'm kind of biased on this stock because Uber holds 75% of the market share. Uber holds 75% of the ride share market. That's why it's more easily for you to find an Uber than it is a Lyft, because they own 75% of the market, okay? And we're going to get in kind of the reasons why. And again, at the end, I'm kind of give you my conjecture, my opinion about which stock is better over the course of time. Now, the chart event shows you that short term and midterm, that the performance of the stock looks like it will be down versus long term, it will go up over the course of time. Good morning, Jermaine Anderson, my great moderator. Thank you, sir, for tuning in. All right. So we kind of went over that. Let's go here. I want to take a deeper dive into Lyft because of the low price per share. And I think that this will become very attractive. But again, when you invest in your money, family, it's not one of those quick rich schemes that you can just dump, $500 into, and then tomorrow is going to be worth $1 million. You have to dive into the analytics just a little bit to kind of get some financial indicators of this is a good investment for you or not. Now, when I look at the stock forecast here at CNN Business, they say low in the $7 end, which Lyft has already been there. The median $13, which it is right now. Okay, so that means that it's pretty much holding the line. But the high that they have that will raise 36.4% at $18 per share. So again, this is Uber versus Lyft, those ride-sharing apps that we know and love. And is it profitable for you to invest in one or the other or just both? Okay. So again, we're diving into the analytics of Lyft because Lyft is at a low price point. And a lot of you are just wondering, is this good for my wallet to have in my portfolio? No matter the investment platform that you guys are currently using. Over here at Tip Ranks, again, the low is at 7, the average at 13. So again, is within that threshold that we already stated as currently the market price, the stock price for Lyft. Okay, so it's roughly around $13 per share. And the high on Tip Ranks versus the other one, the one on CNN Business stated there was $18. Here on Tip Ranks is saying it's $22. So we'll kind of get into why they have all these different stock amounts and stock prices and where their projections actually lie. Okay. Now, this is one of the most alarming things when it comes to rideshare, because there's only two stocks that are listed on stock exchanges, and that's Lyft and Uber. The earnings per share, which is the EPS, which you see right here, they are operating out of an immense amount of debt because they're trying to make headways and compete with Uber. But Uber owns 75% of the ride-sharing market. And let me tell you, Lyft only owns the only 25%. Now, one of the advantages that Uber has already, I'm going to jump ahead here, is all of the cities and the places around the world that Uber absolutely operates in. Okay, you see all of these cities out of the US. Again, we're not comparing apple to oranges. We are comparing strawberries to raisins. Okay, and I mean that Uber is the strawberries and Lyft are the raisins. Because look at the countries here: Argentina, Australia, Austria, Bahrain, Bangladesh, Belgium, Bolivia, Brazil. I mean, the list goes on and on. Even in South Africa, when we went to South Africa, we use Uber, believe it or not. Let me see if they have it on here. They got Uruguay, United Kingdom, United Arab Emirates. So you guys going over, let's see if they got Dubai on the list. Yep, they got Dubai, Abu Dhabi. They got Uganda, which is the capital city there. You got Turkey, Tanzania. You have a lot of these places around the world, even in Africa, Sweden, Sri Lanka. Look at all the countries what they're operating out of. Spain, as I told you, in South Africa, we use that when we travel there. In Cape Town, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Romania, and Doha is the capital of Qatar. Portugal, I wanted Lisbon is in, the capital city of Portugal. Poland, Peru, Panama, Pakistan, Norway, Nigeria, you name it. They're in the capital city of Lagos, New Zealand, Amsterdam with Netherlands. They're all over the place, all throughout Mexico, Malta, Lithuania, Lebanon. I can go on and on and on about all the countries and cities that Uber is in when it compares to the global market share of ride shares in the world. And then you come over to Lyft. Lyft is only in the US and Canada. How can they compete? How can they compare? They can't. But that doesn't mean that you cannot make any money from investing your $13 inside of Lyft. So let's move on. Okay. Now, here are some other options before we kind of dive into some of the reasons why I believe that either you should invest in Uber or Lyft. there are ETFs that actually hold Uber inside of it. Now, when we're looking at $261, family, if you're looking to ETFs, I'll give you a quick rundown of the projection of what occurred already in the past year. This stock has been up 13.5% year to date. It's been down, but almost balancing itself out where you lost more than you made. And when I mean balancing, meaning that it's not such a significant loss that shouldn't have you to invest. Okay. But when we're looking at what is inside of this ETF, this exchange traded fund, we see Uber here at 16.32% of this total ETFs. But again, I necessarily wouldn't invest in this ETF because I'm looking at the amount, and then again, I'm looking at the overall performance of this stock year to date, and it doesn't look good. Here we are, the Direction Daily Transport Bull at 3x shares ETFs. We see that, let me go over here. We see that Uber is inside this one as well at 15.37%. We're going to jump back here to see the year-to-date performance, and that's where it is currently. So again, I wouldn't invest in this one as well. This is my own conjecture when it comes to that. And then last but not least, this one is FlyU. The micro sectors travel 3x leverage ETN, and that is called your exchange traded notes. All right. And then we're going to go over and see what fund it is. This is also by the micro sectors. They have FlyU and FlyD, but we're going to FlyU, and Uber Technology is 12% of that particular stock. We're going to jump back here and see year to date their performance. And this one looks more promising, but as you can tell, there's a lot more volatility in this particular stock at $41. So again, I necessarily wouldn't invest in it, but I don't know if, where you're willing to invest at what price point. Let's move on. Now, when we're comparing Uber and Lyft and who's top of the battle of the U.S. ride shares, I don't want you just to take a quick gander of the market share that Uber has versus Lyft in the U.S. market. Uber is operating at 75% of the U.S. capacity when it comes to ride share in comparison to Lyft at 25%. Okay, so these are some of the tall tale signs of where we're leaning to invest, because if you ever have wondered if companies, like Uber and Lyft are worth investing in, we've gone over how the analytics and indicators are going to play a large role in where your money should go. But when we look at both of these, it's not all smooth roads for Uber, as they are looking as the stock where you should put your money in. The company has faced significant controversies, including issues with safety and labor practices. And this is why now you're getting to a Uber, you may see like a rideshare cam or a driver cam where they're recording you because of safety reasons, and to protect themselves in case any court, not legislations, but court proceedings, if you were to assault their driver or their driver were to assault you. But if we turn our attention to Lyft, while not as big as Uber, Lyft has been steadily growing over the years with a market present in the United States and Canada. And again, when we're comparing the two, Lyft doesn't compare to the ride share or the market share in the US and Canada market when it compared to a global conglomerate like Uber and all the countries in which it's operated. But its recent IPO generated a lot of interest among investors when it comes to Lyft because of the low price point. However, Lyft's smaller market share compared to Uber could be seen as a disadvantage when it comes to a long-term growth and profitability standpoint. So, which one should you invest in? That's the question, right? And I think it depends on the risk tolerance and your investment strategy. Okay, what is your tolerance for risk? Uber may offer a better global reach and potentially larger returns, but it also comes with more uncertainties and controversies. And on the other hand, Lyft may provide a more stable and focused investment option, but potentially lower returns. Nobody really wants to hear about low returns. You're thinking about, hey, I'm going to go where the money is. But again, what's your risk tolerance? Don't forget that Uber is around $64, $65 a share compared to Lyft at $13 per share. So it's important to thoroughly research, consider your own investment goals before considering your own investment goals and your decisions. So when I look at both of these stocks and I'm looking at the market share, every indicator is telling me Uber is shall be. Uber's in the green. Uber's doing well. Uber Technologies. Uber is just not a ride share company, but Uber is also a technology company that could be profitable for you guys to invest in. Okay. So look at Uber here. They are teaming up, or they have teamed up with companies like Waymo, where Waymo is this autonomous driving company that just picks you up and takes you where you need to go. Okay. So when I'm looking at all the advances in technology of what these companies do to serve the public and to have you to invest in or to simply use, then what company are you willing to invest in? Now, all the fancy numbers and colors may, tantalize your investment curiosity. But when it comes to this, family, where do you think is more profitable for your money? Are you willing to sacrifice $100 with a couple of shares of Lyft, or you're willing to go in around $100 to $200 buying roughly 2.5 to 3 shares of Uber, where all the indicators and signs and analytics are saying buy, buy, buy. Let's go back to Uber in case you guys have missed it of what the analysts are saying. The analysts at 51% ratings is saying buy at 94% when it comes to Uber. And again, family, we have a household of 2 cars and we still use rideshare if we know we're going out to maybe downtown Dallas, and we may have a couple of adult beverages where we may just take an Uber there or Uber back, or maybe we're going somewhere out of town or a neighboring city. We just got back from Atlanta where we used Uber a couple of times. I didn't even think about using Lyft, even though I have the Lyft app. And again, it's your preference. Both of them do the same thing. Okay. Both of them do the exact same thing when it comes to the user side of things. But as an investor, you want to look at the entirety of the investment portfolio and picture. And here's another quick tip for you guys who really want to dive into the information and the financials of a particular stock. Always look for a stock's prospectus report. Okay, that's prospectus report. That's going to give you all the information when it comes to the financial, whether they're strong or weak, and that'll give you another great indication. And then hold at 5.9% and sell at 0%. Think about that. Everyone is telling you to buy Uber. You think I'm going to change your mind by telling you to invest in Lyft? Hold on just a little bit longer. So now I want to give you some of the innovations that Lyft actually has. Okay. Lyft is also teaming up with a company called Joby. I don't know if you guys are familiar with when Uber came out with this maybe 2 or 3 years ago, how they were going to do ride flying share, or there's going to be a bunch of you guys going to meet at some small helipad within city limits, and you're going to get into a Uber that's going to be autonomous, probably by the way of Waymo, or with this new company called Joby Aviation. Again, they teamed up in 2020. It states here that the 2 parent companies have agreed to integrate their respective services into each other's app, enabling seamless integration between ground and air travel for future customers. This deal allows Uber to deepen our partnership with the Joby and accelerate the path to market for these technologies and move the Elevate team to Joby. Yes, we're talking about rideshare where they may have some pilots like myself who may go to flight school for maybe a month. It usually takes years to learn how to fly. But yeah, I'm going to go for about a couple of months, and then I'm going to fly you guys around in my Uber Lyft or my Uber Elevate. So let's look at this quick video. Let's see what this is all about. Any day. Any day. All right, so we get the drift with this, family. Now, I asked myself, would I ever use Uber Elevate? And the answer to that question is absolutely yes, unequivocally yes. Um, I love flying. Some people are terrified of flying. I absolutely love flying. Of course, I don't like turbulence. I don't like rough landings. I don't like rough takeoffs, but I absolutely love flying. Here's my, you can ask my wife. If the drive is over 6 hours, believe me, I'm looking to fly 100% of the time. Even to a point, I recall us coming back from Ghana, and our son, he had his UFC fight in Houston, and we were jet lag. And I said, babe, I'm gonna stay here, go and support our son. She was going to drive. I said, no, babe, just fly. She's like, babe, why would I just fly? Houston's only 4-hour drive. I was thinking about the jet lag. I was thinking about safety. And when she came back from her trip, she said, thank you so much, babe. She said it was just so stress relieving. I have to worry about driving. I slept on the plane. I got off refreshed. You know, I got into a rental car. I believe she did an Uber. She did an Uber to the hotel. She Ubered to the fight, Uber back to the hotel. The next day she flew out. She was so refreshed. But again, I would definitely do this. So I see the value in this. Even if it's a little more, it's a premium price because you're flying. But think about this. These helipads are going to be on typical office buildings that you guys walk past each and every day if you are working in downtown Atlanta, DC, downtown Boston, downtown Detroit, downtown LA, all these different metropolis cities around, and even those adjacent cities, whether it be Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, or it can be LA, San Francisco, San Diego. You got all these major cities with all of these high-rise office buildings, and they're going to just convert them into platforms for all of these little small Uber planes, and that top floor is going to be kind of like I guess the airport or the ride port or whatever they may call it. But the point of the matter is, I know some of you, like myself, we just don't like driving. Some people, y'all from the South, I just love an open road. And no, I can't account for other people driving. When I'm flying, I don't have a care in the world. I'm on my phone. I'm on my tablet. I'm looking at TV shows. I'm reading a book. I'm getting some wine. I'm just enjoying my goddamn time. So believe me, when it comes to the value in this family, I'm all on board. I'm absolutely all on board. And then when we come down to the major question, then, this is kind of the feel good part of the video, like, yeah, that feels good. You get inside of a fixed wing propeller airplane and you're going across town, or maybe you're going to an adjacent city. Maybe you're going from Nashville to Chattanooga, which roughly takes you an hour driving, but it only take you 15 minutes flying. Hell yeah. Oh, how much would it cost me the gas? It might cost me $10 to $15. How much they charge me to fly over there? $40. Because it's another 6 people who are flying from Chattanooga to Nashville back and forth all day. Family, let me tell you, it's going to change. It's going to change the environment of transportation as we know it. And again, I'm all on board. Just like anything else, of course, there's risk. Cars crash, planes crash, helicopters fall out the sky. So that's just a risk you're going to have to take. And you take that risk every single day when you drive your own car, okay? So when it comes to the big question of whether I will invest in Uber or versus Lyft, I'm gonna tell you right now, I will invest in Uber over Lyft all day, every day. Now, these reportings here are from 2022. Okay, from 2022, we're looking at the revenue, cost of revenue, operations, research and development, sales and marketing, general administration, and then gain loss from operations. Okay, let's look at it. When we look at the revenue, Lyft is at 4.1 billion, Uber's at roughly 32 billion. Cost of revenue, 4.4 billion at 19.7. And we're looking at the percentage of Lyft's revenue at 59, roughly 60%, and Uber 61.7%. So already the cost of revenue, the cost of operation, we're kind of get down here, operation support expenses, 444 million versus 2.4 billion. But I want you to look at the amount of revenue again. That is the tall tale sign here. Their percentage of how much they're spending in order to operate is at 10.8% of the cost of revenue versus only 7.6% of the $19.7 billion revenue. That's staggering, family. That means that Uber is doing tremendously well over Lyft. Research and development. Uber is spending $857 million. And I'm going to tell you, excuse me, that's Lyft. My apologies. Lyft is spending $857 million compared to Uber. They're spending $2.8 billion. And the reason for that, because you have Uber Elevate, you have all the service and package from Uber, you have Uber teaming up with companies like Waymo that may start to offer autonomous ride sharing, where now you don't even have to tip the driver. Yeah, family. I know this goes into all other sorts of conversations about how technology, AI, robotics, autonomous is literally alleviating jobs almost faster than illegal immigrants inside of our country. Don't worry, I won't conflate or combine the two, but they're still one of the same. Okay, but when we look at this, Uber is doing tremendously well over Lyft. Sales and marketing. Lyft is only spending $532 million, which is 13% of the cost of revenue. And Uber is spending $4.8 billion, almost 15% of their revenue. And they have room to do so because they have a lot of partners in the game and everyone is getting paid tremendously. And here's an opportunity for you guys to actually get paid. General administrative expenses, $1.3 billion. And then when it comes to Uber, only $3.1 billion at 9.8% versus Lyft at 31.4%. This is Lyft trying to spin their way to the top. And this is only my opinion. Then gains and losses from operation. We see $1.6 billion over here, $1.8 billion over there, but it's 38.6% of the cost of revenue versus only 5.7%. So already Uber is a company worth, their value is a lot higher than Lyft. Let's go back to Uber. Uber, the analysts are stating buy at 94% and hold at 5.9%, where the analysts, the analysts are saying buy at 16.3%, hold at 74.4%, and sell at 9.3% when it comes to Robinhood analysts. So again, is it profitable for you to invest your $13 with Lyft? Only time will tell. There is a probability that Lyft by the end of the year could potentially reach anywhere from $15 to $18. Don't forget, investing is not an exact science unless you have maybe 100,000 people on board and then you can pump and dump a stock all you want, or you're a millionaire, billionaire, you can do it by yourself. Now, when it comes to Uber, Uber is the clear choice. This is my opinion. Uber is a clear choice when it comes to long-term value and making a return of investments, okay? Let's look at one more thing here. A lot of us, you shouldn't look at Uber in the eyes of just a ride share. We have to look at the technological innovations. It says that Uber is known for technological innovation, including dynamic pricing that optimizes fares based on demand, as well as user-friendly mobile app with features like real-time tracking and seamless payment options. Now, Lyft also has this as well. Lyft also has these options as well. If you guys notice, during New Year's, July 4th, St. Patrick's Day, really around holidays or around areas where there's these large events, basketball games, football games, hockey games, golfing matches, any big sports event, any big entertainment where you're going to see Taylor Swift or Beyonce, the prices for these Ubers and Lyft tend to be more expensive in those areas. That because the demand is high and the supply is low. That's why you see a lot of people now getting into ride sharing, meaning that every now and again they go out and make a couple of more dollars. They're like, oh yeah, I do Uber on the weekends, I do Lyft on the weekends. They may have a card that meets the criteria and requirements that they can actually use and make an extra couple of dollars. So whether you're going to invest it, use it, or be one of the drivers of these, I think it can still be profitable. But I'm very strong on Uber versus Lyft. I'm not stating that Lyft is a bad investment. I'm just going to say I think you're going to have to wait a lot longer to see the return of investment when it comes to Lyft versus Uber, because Uber is everywhere. Uber is around the world versus the places that Lyft isn't. Lyft is only in the US. Lyft is only in the US and Canada. Whereas I showed you before, Uber is everywhere. South Korea, Kenya, Jordan, Japan, Jamaica, man, Italy, Italiano, Ireland, India. I couldn't come up with something quick enough to something about Ireland. So India, look at all the countries that India is in. Wow. Wow. And don't forget, India is an Asian country that no one looks the typical Asian that we're used to seeing, but nonetheless, like Black Asians, but they won't say that. But anyway, let's go off on a tangent at this point. But nonetheless, India has the largest population of people in the world. Because of the declining rates in China, India has taken the #1 spot when it comes to the most people in their country at 1.2, 1.3 billion people. You also have Uber in Hong Kong. That's interesting. Honduras, Guatemala, Greece, Ghana. Yep, we took Ubers when we went to Accra. Germany, France, Finland, Estonia, Egypt, Ecuador, Dominican Republic, Czech Republic, Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, Costa Rica, Colombia, Chile, Canada. Of course, we took when we went to Brazil. Yep. So yeah, long story short, family, I know I was beating a dead horse, but I'm just letting you know where to put your money. So again, last but not least, do not let the $64, $65 price tag discourage you from making a good investment. Okay, in my opinion, I believe it's a good investment over the course of time, and we can tell here in this past year, Uber has been up 111%. So again, you can come over here to Robinhood and see places, market order, whatever, and you can invest in dollars or shares. Okay, so of course, if you invest in shares, say you want 4 shares of Uber, that's going to cost you $259. But say, hey, look, man, I only have $150. You change this to dollars, and then you simply type in 150, and you will have invested into 2.3 shares of Uber. So with that being said, family, there you have it. This is Money Mondays. This is Blacklogic. Hopefully, you guys have learned something between the two apps that you guys most likely use when it comes to Uber and Lyft. And if anybody knows a good office chair, this one, the shocks on this broke. Maybe because I'm just too big. I don't know. But anyway, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is Blacklogic. Be one to the family. You guys have a great and wonderful day. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.